Among classic works of ritual magic, the Grimorium Verum holds a notorious reputation. Known as the True Grimoire, it presents itself as a manual of practical demonology. The text claims to reveal genuine methods of commanding spirits to serve human will. Unlike the moral tone of the Key of Solomon, the Grimorium Verum is direct and uncompromising. It focuses on tangible results rather than spiritual elevation. For centuries, occultists regarded it as one of the most dangerous yet fascinating books of ceremonial magic. The Grimorium Verum is written in the form of instruction. It explains how to create magical tools, prepare for evocation, and interact with infernal spirits. Its blend of theology, astrology, and ritual language connects it to the broader Solomonic tradition. Yet its focus on infernal, rather than celestial powers, sets it apart. The Grimorium Verum first appeared in France and Italy during the mid-18th century. The author claims to be Alabec, the Egyptian, writing in 1517, though scholars agree that this attribution is pseudonymous. The book draws heavily on older Solomonic sources, such as the Key of Solomon and Heptameron, adapting their angelic hierarchies to a darker context. Instead of invoking purely celestial spirits, it details how to summon and bind demons. Despite its sinister tone, the structure reflects medieval ceremonial discipline. It includes prayers, fasts, consecrations, and invocations of divine names. This paradox demonic operation, under divine authority, defines the Grimorium Verum's complexity. By the 19th century, the text circulated widely among French occultists such as Eliphas Levi and author Edward Waite. Modern editions, like Jake Strattonkent's The True Grimoire, reinterpret it as a survival of authentic folk magical tradition. The Grimorium Verum is divided into 3 parts. The first part describes the moral and ritual preparation of the magician, emphasizing purity, faith, fasting, confession, and abstinence. Planetary days and hours must be observed, and materials like virgin parchment and consecrated ink are prepared at astrologically favorable times. The second part presents the hierarchy of spirits and the process of evocation, listing principal demons under Lucifer's command with their seals, names, and duties. The magician compels obedience through divine names, showing his role as a servant of God, wielding divine authority. The third part contains practical experiments to acquire wealth, love, invisibility, or knowledge through talismans and correct ritual timing, stressing purity and faith as essential to success. At the core of the book is a structured demonic hierarchy mirroring celestial order. Lucifer rules as emperor of the underworld, with Beelzebuth and Astaroth as ministers. Below them are inferior spirits governing aspects of human life, Clonek for wealth, Astaroth for knowledge, and Serlin as messenger. These beings are not embodiments of evil, but forces within divine creation, requiring the magician's control and divine protection. The system presents heaven and hell as complementary powers rather than opposites. Though often labeled diabolical, the Grimorium Verum begins with prayers to God, Jesus, and the angels. Each ritual opens with humility and a plea for divine mercy. The magician acts only under divine authority to bind rebellious spirits, echoing older Solomonic principles, but order must rule over chaos. The book blends Christian and pre-Christian thought, exploring the tension between command and piety. The tools described each hold symbolic meaning. The wand, cut from a nut or hazel tree during a waxing moon, represents will. The knives, consecrated through prayer, symbolize separation between sacred and profane. The pentacle at the center of the circle embodies divine authority. The circle itself defines the magician's protected space, a sacred boundary marked with divine names. Each tool expresses the idea that mastery arises from discipline, not aggression. The magician works within a consecrated circle and calls the spirit to appear within a nearby triangle. The circle represents divine unity and protection, while the triangle symbolizes manifestation. The magician must maintain faith and composure, as fear weakens authority. Confidence, grounded in prayer, ensures control. Throughout the rituals, divine names like Adonai, Elohim, and Tetragrammaton appear. These sacred words embody creative power, compelling spirits through divine rather than human strength. This consistent invocation underscores the grimoire's theological coherence, affirming that all power, even infernal, originates from God. Evocation in the Grimorium Verum is not a pact with evil, but the assertion of divine order over lower forces. The magician summons spirits for material results and to understand hidden laws of creation. True danger lies not in the spirits, but in moral weakness, pride, greed, or fear. Performed properly, evocation teaches discipline, wisdom, and the harmony of faith and control. The book's operations follow a strict sequence: preparation, invocation, manifestation, and dismissal. Some rituals seek knowledge, others influence or protection. Each begins with prayer, confession, and fasting to ensure purity. Greed and curiosity are condemned, as success depends on devotion and humility. Magic is presented as service to divine order, not rebellion. Every operation is tied to planetary and elemental correspondences. The sun governs vitality, the moon governs intuition, Mercury intellect, Venus affection, Mars courage, Jupiter wealth, and Saturn secrecy. Metals, colors, and perfumes correspond to each, linking spiritual and physical realms. This harmony reflects the interconnectedness of all creation, a cornerstone of Solomonic magic. The idea of the pact is often misunderstood. The Grimorium Verum's pact is not a surrender of the soul, but a ritual declaration of authority. The magician binds the spirit through its seal and divine oath, commanding it to act within limits. When released, order is restored. The pact represents balance and moral responsibility, warning that arrogance brings destruction, while faith and precision ensure safety. Despite its dark reputation, the text upholds ethical principles. It demands humility, prayer, and faith. Power must serve virtue, not desire. The magician mediates between heaven and earth, learning mastery of self through control of external forces. The evocation of spirits becomes a mirror for inner transformation, commanding one's own fears and desires. The Grimorium Verum influenced centuries of occult practice across Europe and the Americas. Folk magicians and ceremonialists adopted its methods, while 19th century publishers circulated it widely. Later scholars like Stratton Kent reinterpreted it as part of a continuous folk magical tradition rather than a diabolical manual. Its blend of structure, theology, and practice secured its place beside the Key of Solomon and Ars Goetia as a cornerstone of Western ritual magic. Symbolically, the grimoire speaks to the human psyche. Its spirits represent internal forces: Lucifer as intellect, Beelzebuth as appetite, Astaroth as the hunger for knowledge. Through ritual, these forces are integrated and purified. The magical tools correspond to faculties of consciousness: the wand as will, the sword as reason, the pentacle as faith, the circle as protection. The work becomes an allegory for self-knowledge and transformation, reconciling inner conflict into harmony. The title, The True Grimoire, suggests that truth lies not in the literal act of summoning demons, but in the realization of universal order. Spiritual power demands responsibility, and true mastery arises from obedience to divine justice. Darkness is simply the absence of recognized light. By commanding spirits, the magician ultimately commands himself. The Grimorium Verum endures as one of the most enigmatic works of Western esotericism. Beneath its ominous tone lies a vision of balance and divine law. Every ritual, seal, and circle expresses the harmony of creation. The grimoire teaches that mastery of magic mirrors mastery of self, and that understanding, not control, is the highest form of power. In that understanding lies freedom, the true wisdom promised by the Grimorium Verum. Thank you for listening. The Grimorium Verum. Please subscribe or follow us at satanworld.com.